Hi, everybody, and welcome into the Arsenal fan circle one more time. Um, Not the best circumstances, as we are now 43 hours after the debacle of the FA Cup. And really, what is there to say? Well, Unai Emery picked a very strong team, and Gundit News will be calling in shortly. So welcome to the circle, everybody. Pull up a chair, everybody. Welcome into the circle. Pull up a chair, and let's talk over what happened on Friday night, 43 hours ago. Um, Unai Emery picked a strong team, I believe, and so now, as Arsenal supporters, we have questions. Um, do we overreact to results? Plus or minus? Do we go overboard or do we go underboard? Um, we have to ask ourselves these questions. Do we expect too much, especially with the injuries we now have to defenders? Um, I saw somebody had said earlier at a great point that at sometime in this season, all of our defenders have got injuries or been out for a large part of the season. So we've not had a settled back four or back five, whatever Emery is going to use every week. So bring your questions if you have any, and Gundit News will be calling in very shortly, and we can discuss the things that have been happening on Friday night. Not a great result at all. Um, are we also, a question I want to ask as well, are we also at a similar level to last year? Uh, if so, let me know. If not, let me know. Want to welcome in a new viewer to the Arsenal fan circle. This is reviewing the Manchester United game versus the FA Cup game. But do we need to panic yet? You know, my belief is we look at the next six fixtures coming up. We've got Cardiff away at home now. We've got Cardiff, and we have Manchester City away from home. We can all expect not to get any results from that game. Then we have Huddersfield away, and then two of the Europa League home and away legs with Bate. And then we have two home games in late February, Southampton and Bournemouth. And then we have those return fixtures against Tottenham and Manchester United. We will play Tottenham away from home and at Wembley, and we will play Manchester United at home. And let's all look at that March 9th game right now and say that we really need to need to look at that fixture as something we really need to stand up to Manchester United when they come back into the Emirates in late March or early March, March 9th. But after that game, the Manchester United game at home, the return Premiership League. Yeah, Ismaili, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Yeah, the only problem is transfer policy and how that regards to Ozil. Now we're getting into a situation where the fan base is getting split. The fan base is divided. Used to be Emery, not Emery. It used to be Wenger in, Wenger out, and now we have a situation where it's Ozil in, Ozil out, or even Emery in, Emery out. So that's a developing situation, but it's not anything Ozil situation we cannot address till the summertime. It looks like now. Yeah, exactly, Ismail. So, I was concocting I used to sing the Ozil song right up until the end of 2017. I used to love to sing that song, but in the last 18 months, 2 years, he hasn't really given us anything in return, and I feel like he's a diminishing asset. We're going to have to. The Ozil supporters say that he is an impact player. I believe every player that comes on should be an impact player. Um, if you're coming onto the team, you're there to have an impact. I don't really believe in this. Oh well, you only give Ozil 20 minutes, 25 minutes. He couldn't make an impact. Every player can make an impact in 20, 25 minutes. But it looks like Emery has pretty much decided on Ozil at this point, and we're going to see probably less and less of him. We might see these cameos of 20, 25 minutes. But what are we going to do? As I said before in one of these shows, we're going to have to sell Ozil at a loss because the team that's going to hopefully take Ozil on will want to have a lower transfer fee in order to pay Ozil the wages that he wants. So we're going to have to sell Ozil at a loss, and it's going to have to be in the summertime, Ismail. Good afternoon, good evening, London Old School. Thank you for dropping in. And basically, we're reviewing the Manchester United game. I've asked the questions here. Do we expect too much of this team? Do we as fans overreact to the results that the team's giving us? Yes, Ismail, it is better to sell rather than leave. Ozil is not getting any minutes. He cannot be happy just sitting on the bench, maybe not even making the full 18. Ian Wright has made a point that he should be in the squad. He should be in the 18. I believe that he should be in the 18, and I think the best use of Ozil can be made when legs get tired at 70th minute, 65th minute. Bring Ozil on. Teams are tired, defenders are tired, and our strikers can benefit from some through balls from Ozil. So that's the Ozil situation. I'm going to be waiting for Gundit to call in. Gundit News will be calling in, but also I want to admit that I did not see the game live, and it's probably a good thing I didn't see the game live. I was at work, and frankly, I just looked at the highlights, and it looked like a very, very limp display, especially after the defenders got injured. Especially after Socrates. Arsenal TV in previous shows has said Socrates is a leader, and I've come to believe that now. He's one of our better defenders. I thought Koscielny could come in and do a job. I'm sorry to hear, London Old School, that you did stay up to 5 a.m., but you are a true supporter. You stayed up for the game. And in your time zone, that game was on between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. So a true supporter sticks with his team, and we're all going to stick with our team through thick and thin. We're going to have good times, we're going to have bad times. But let's look at it this way. If we're looking at our targets this year, and Emery has said the league is the priority, followed by the Europa League, and then the FA Cup is going to be his third choice competition. And I did feel like he treated the cup with some respect. The competition was dealt with some respect. We fielded a pretty good team. I advocated Czech having a game because we never know when we're going to need him in the league or in the Europa League coming up. And is our squad equipped really to go far were they equipped really to go far in the FA Cup? I don't know about that. But it would have been nice, obviously, to beat Manchester United, because you get over a big hurdle like Manchester United, who knows, you're going to get an easier draw in the next round. But got to say good luck to them. They're playing really, really well. I hate to say it, but they're on the up and up. And we have to look at the league of Chelsea and Spurs maybe faltering a little bit for our league campaign. Yeah, exactly. London Old School would have liked Emery to start some youngsters. I would have liked to see one or two in there as well. But hopefully they get their chances in the Europa League, and they get their chances in the league itself. And London Old School, good luck to you. You'll be looking at the Cardiff game at home at 3 a.m. there, but I would think that we would have a different result, even with all the injuries we do have. So I wanted to ask the question then. Are we similar? Are we at a similar level to last year? We all wondered if we would get a Moisey type of appointment, and if we have saved ourselves a couple of years. Manchester United have been in the wilderness for a couple of years. Let's just say that much. I mean, they've won some competitions. So would you say if that's been in the wilderness or not? But they went through the Moyes thing, which was Alex Ferguson had nominated David Moyes to continue in his footsteps, and that was a pretty tough thing to do. Um, and then they got Louis Van Gaal. They got him. He got him an FA Cup. Most clubs that would probably save a manager's career at the club. But the last thing might work out worse than last year. Um, all right, so London Old School and Ismail are basically saying that we're doing okay this year, similar to last year. So the thing I guess that Arsenal fans got tired of was the consistency of Wenger, and that was consistently top four to a certain point, and then when he dropped away and we got consistently top five, it was time to end ways with Wenger. We're finding now how difficult it is to stay in top four with the squad that we have. The squad is quite thin at this point. And are we just unlucky with all of the injuries? Can I ask you guys? Are we just lucky with all of the injuries right now? Um, Especially all of the injuries they're not spread evenly across the team. They seem to be all defenders that are getting injured. So at some point in the season, we've lost every defender on our books to injury, and that's just downright bad luck, I think. You know, as I touched on earlier, we have a tough schedule. Moving forward, we're playing Manchester City, and then we play Huddersfield away from home, and then 5 or 6 games from now we are playing Tottenham away from home, and we get the return fixture with Manchester United. But Gundit News is calling in right now. Good evening, Gundit News.
Hi, good evening. How's it? How are you, Raymond?
Um, I'm I'm I don't know how to express my feelings. The FA Cup was our third priority. We put a strong side out on Friday night, and we still lost to Manchester United.
Yeah, I also don't know how to feel exactly about that. I mean,
And now we've lost defenders, as Ismail has said. We've lost 2 defenders. London Old School, I think, feels like we're about the same standard as last year with Wenger. Um, so I was saying we haven't seen a downturn in our fortunes, but we're about the same place as we were last year. Now, I would say that we've beaten Chelsea and we've beaten Spurs at home.
yep, two of
And
the top four.
London Old School says hello, Gundit. So what
Hey,
do you
London Old School.
what do you think, Gundit? I think we have slight improvement from last year. What do you think?
Look, I do think we have improved. I personally love it under Emery. It's just very unfortunate that we're coming across a lot of injuries. And, I mean, with there being no money to spend, I don't know how we're going to bounce back unless these investments made right now.
We're in a situation pretty much like Wenger years where we have to do a trolley dash before the end of the window. We got to go get some defenders. I really feel.
Yeah, I can give you. Let me give an update to all the gunners in case they don't know about the injury list that we do
And
have.
injury update to the defenders that we lost.
Yes, all the defenders. So for the next 2 games versus Cardiff and Man City, we will be without 4 of our best defenders. Also, a few of our attackers. Mkhitaryan should be returning on the 9th of February, hopefully versus Huddersfield. And
Okay.
the other three main losses that we've just gotten in now is Koscielny was kicked in the face by Lukaku while he was on the floor.
Yeah, a
versus
complete
Man
accident.
United.
Yeah.
A complete accident, but nevertheless, he will be gone or missing for the next 7 weeks.
7 weeks for Koscielny.
7 weeks for Koscielny. Bellerin is not. I don't think he's going. I think he is only going to be returning.
I know he.
Next season. He ruptured his ligament against Chelsea when we did beat them 2-0. So he should be out for about 9 months.
Yeah, fractured jaw. London Old School says fractured jaw for Koscielny.
Yeah, fractured jaw, exactly. We were hoping for the best out of a worse situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
They say he fractured his jaw. Luckily, he didn't break it.
Yeah. We really miss Bellerin as well.
Yeah, the last of our heavy misses will probably be Socrates. Socrates being one of our most consistent centre backs for the past who knows how long. But it's highly unlikely that he's going to play for the next two games because
complete accident.
He landed quite heavily on his ankle following an aerial duel.
Yeah. What was I going to say? What's the likely return date for Bellerin? Or what's the prognosis for him? Is he done for the season?
Bellerin will be done for the season. He'll be returning early next season, we hope. With the injury report saying up to 9 months. So, yeah.
I don't want to see... Ismail has said we're going to see probably Xhaka more in defence. Unless we get one or two defenders. We don't want to see that. Maybe Monreal in defence I would do.
Yes. What we could do is we could make shift with a few centre backs using the likes of like you said, Nacho Monreal, and like a few Gundit said Nacho and
I got you, Ismail. I understand. So Ismail, you're new here. Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it. If you would like to subscribe also, that would be awesome. I'm on 29 subscriptions. Gundit News, I asked Gundit News to give us the update on the likely injuries and the prognosis for when they're coming back. So I think you said that Mkhitaryan's out till the 9th of February and Bellerin's finished for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Is that Manro? London Old School, is that Manro? Macro is likely out? Mavro, yeah. Okay, got you.
Mavropanis, he is in training, but I don't know if Emery is going to, he may need to actually put him on the field.
Yeah.
We're so short of
so Gundit, what we're going to have is a back four that have never met each other. They've never really played together too many games.
Exactly.
So, like in the, here's what I'm thinking. We can probably get through the Cardiff game and win that game. Right?
I also think so.
And we're going to treat the Manchester City game just like the first game of the season. Nobody's going to expect to get anything out of that game.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't get our hopes up. I mean, especially now that we are going to be like we just said, missing four of our four best defenders.
Yeah, London Old School, I can't see why we cannot loan, get some defenders in on loan. There's got to be defenders somewhere across the world that we could get one defender at least to help us out.
There are two centre backs that are currently going to be available. Who I can name from the top of my head. Gary Cahill and Mehdi Benatia from Juventus.
Yeah. I think of those two, we would favour Benatia, right?
Yes, I think we would. But I mean, I would even take Gary Cahill because it's an emergency situation that we're having at the moment.
So, Gundit, tell me about the game. Did you watch the game on Friday Night Live? I was at work.
Friday night, I did actually watch the full game.
What were your thoughts?
Within the space, with the whole game, I mean, we started playing extremely well. I thought we were doing quite well. We just weren't finishing our chances in the final third. And once we lost Socrates, we went 1-0 down, and then we went 2-0 down within the
Very
space
quickly.
of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was heartbroken because I honestly thought, well, I think now is the time. They need to invest money in the squad. Otherwise, our chances of top 4 are going to be very slim.
For me, looking from the outside and looking at the highlights, it looked like a very, very similar game to the Emirates game last season, where we were 2-0 down pretty quickly, got a goal back, and then we looked like we were going to equalise. But my brother-in-law, who's also an Arsenal supporter from Ireland, he said too much ticky-tacky was going on in the penalty box.
Way too much. And
No shots.
No shots. Not in their half. We're busy doing tiki-taka in our half, trying to play it out through the back, which is extremely dangerous. You can't do such things.
Yeah. So, we had chances trying to walk the ball in, London Old School said. Did you feel like they needed to take a shot in those instances? Nobody seemed to take the responsibility, it seems to me.
Yeah, nobody wants to take the initiative. They want to walk, like London Old School basically says, walk the ball into the back of the net, which is, it's not, how would you say, man, it's not viable most of the times. You can't expect to tiki-taka and get a goal beautifully.
Not against that Manchester United team. Is once you start winning a few games, the confidence starts to grow in you. As defenders, then you believe you can get results. If you're getting results, you believe in what the manager's telling you to do. And you're right, London Oscar. We need to shoot more.
I mean, Emery did that with us in the start of the season. Who knew we were going to go so many games unbeaten? A lot of them are word to us, though.
Yep.
And scraped by, but it's still a result nonetheless. And like this Man United squad that they have currently, it's resurgent because of Solskjaer, basically.
Yeah, I mean, but let's also look at what's happening at Chelsea with Sarri. Are we in such a bad position ourselves? Yeah. Look at Tottenham with injuries as well.
It looks bad, but to be honest with you, I think we're just desperate to have an injection of confidence, basically, by signing some new players to help us fight. Because right now we're so short of players. There's at least 7 players, and most of them are on the transfer list, also to be going out at the end of the window.
I mean, we can touch on it generally, but there is going to be a lot of players that are going to go out in the summertime. We need to turn over and go into the transfer market with that in the summertime. There's a lot of work to be done.
A lot of work to be done. But I mean, even right now, if the board of our beautiful club can at least spend about 80 million, like at least 50 million for at least 2 defenders.
Yeah. We're going to be selling some players as well, and combine what we can sell with the players that are already going to leave, and the wage bill getting lower because of that. Hopefully, Emery gets funds in the summer window. London Old School says there's going to be some sponsorship deals that are coming through. There's going to be some players that are leaving. So you combine those two amounts together, maybe you got 60 or 70 million on the conservative side, I'm thinking, to spend.
Yeah, on the conservative side, they were saying there's only going to be money available to spend in the summer, not right now. That's why currently, if you're hearing of any deals, it's all loan deals.
And I may be wrong in saying this, Gundit, but I understand that Kroenke is not going to put any money in there, but also he's not going to take any money out. I could be dead wrong in saying that. We are going to be self-sustaining in that way.
How on earth are we going to get into top 4? how are we going to fight the likes of even the resurgent teams? We say, are we as bad as Chelsea? Look what's happening to Sarri. Are we as bad as Tottenham with all their injury woes? I would say we're at the bottom of that list because of everything that's happening. And
Um,
look, how do you not invest any money? No?
we're definitely going to have to invest some money. I always look at what they've done in the last year, whether it's going to be with Sven Mislintat or not. And Sven is one of the better scouts. So it's definitely tough to lose him. But hopefully we're going to get a good replacement for Sven Mislintat. But the work they've done in the last year, they've unearthed Torreira and Guendouzi and probably Bern Leno. You know, for maybe combined maybe 50 million,
Yeah, true.
maybe 60
Torreira,
million, but definitely
yeah,
on those
Torreira
three,
was about,
on those
Guendouzi was about 10, and Burnley was also about 25. So,
25,
yeah, you're spot on.
probably 60 million. If we were to sell
Yeah,
those
yeah.
players today, we would make a profit on those players. If you were to
Oh, yes.
sell all three of them.
As a side note, the market value, we bought them. Arsenal's market value was, I think it was about 30 or 40 for the two of them. Guendouzi and Torreira, right now it's sitting on 140 or 150.
So I think we have to trust the people that are there. If Sven's going to go, we will get another scout in that could do just as good a job. Now, maybe we're going to lose a few million because of Sven and what he does. He's able to take rough diamonds and sell them for, shiny diamonds. So with those three players, Bern, Leno, and Torreira, and Guendouzi, we would definitely make a profit today if we were to sell those people. We'd probably recoup 2/3 of it or 3/4 of it just through Torreira himself,
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think we have to trust where the club is going. We're going to have some short-term pain. Let's remember what happened to Liverpool under a new Klopp. What happened to Guardiola under a new Klopp. You're not going to have success. Um,
Immediately.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, true. We just have to be patient and back our manager. It's just, it's a little bit of anxious times. Like you say, we have to suffer a little bit of pain, short-term pain,
yeah.
in order to get long-term.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Gundit, but when we heard the news that Arsene Wenger was leaving and we were going to get change, were you prepared for maybe a lower level? Like a David Moyes type situation that we would drop down a little bit? Or I was just happy that we would have something different because every season under Arsene Wenger, you could predict their final league position and what we would do in our cup campaigns probably. And it was going to be something different under Emery. We don't know what yet.
As soon as I heard the news that Wenger had left, I celebrated. I will not lie to you.
Yeah.
I celebrated a whole lot because
Probably 85% of us did.
As a schoolers, we've been wanting change for a long time, a fresh approach.
Yeah.
And when I heard all the list of the coaches that we were linked to, you had to go do your research. And I mean, the likes of Simeone, Tuchel, Allegri, all the top coaches. And Emery was a surprise. Like, nobody expected Emery.
Yeah, I think 85 or 90% of us London Old School were glad when Wenger eventually went in the end. Such quotes as, what is a director of football? Do they just direct the footballers where to go? Made him sound kind of ridiculous.
Ridiculous, more like stupid. Can you really be that stupid to actually think?
I think he was just more difficult and obtuse and stubborn, set in his ways. He's a very intelligent man.
Yeah, he was actually a very intelligent man, but stuck in his ways and like very stubborn, like you say. Yes, man. A yes man to the board.
I think in the fullness of time we'll remember what he did for us in the first 12 years especially.
Oh, yes.
And not so much what happened the last 10 years, although we did have 3 FA Cups in the last 10 years. Not easy to do.
Not easy to do. I think 2 of them were back-to-back, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, three. I think did we win three in a row? I think we won three FA Cups in a row.
I think it
Oh
was
no,
three.
we were interrupted by Manchester United winning in
Uh,
2016, right?
but it's
And you know, that's the thing about Ozil. I welcomed Ozil back in 2013 when he came, but by the time of the end of 2017, um, I think we're finished with Ozil at this point. Most supporters are.
I also think so. I don't know if it did he have even an impact, Raymond? What do you think? Did you manage to see the highlights and or get a glimpse of the full game? Because I don't think Ozil had any impact on the game.
Yeah, I mean, here's the debate, and I touched on this at the beginning. Our Ozil supporters are saying that he's not an impact player, that you can't give him 20-25 minutes. I believe 20-25 minutes is the perfect time for him, and if he's good enough, he can affect the game in 20-25 minutes, especially when players are getting tired.
At least providing at least 2 or 3 chances, in that 20 minutes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Vital chances.
and I
One of our strike.
I feel moving forward that's the best use of Ozil that Emery can make. And
Yeah, like I said, he said it's going to be really hard to sell him somehow, and
yeah,
that
London Old School has said it was a very bad move for Wenger to give Ozil 3.5 years before he left.
hmm that well, I suppose even a new coach, maybe Emery, if he was around, would have seen that Ozil is not going to fit into the plans after 2 years and change things. But yeah, people were set in their ways. Whoever got him that 350k per week was a genius.
And I gotta tell you, I was talking to Luca earlier yesterday, probably, and he asked me if I'm coming on. Can I speak my mind? I was like, yes, absolutely. Anyone who comes into the circle and it comes on the live chat can speak their mind. We're in no way. Um, we love that. We want the different kinds of opinion from everybody.
We want as
You know.
much interaction as possible with all the Gooners throughout the world to let us know, how they feel and what's their opinions and their ideas of, possibly how the club could go forward.
Here's a question that London Old School has posed. Should Ozil start games, and if he doesn't perform in the first half, take him off after 60 minutes? What do you think about that, Gundit?
But I think we can do that. I think that is another option. How we could use Ozil in the meanwhile. Like, let him play 30, 40 minutes, and if it's not working, maybe bring on like a Ramsey in the second half.
Yeah. Look, I was looking at our schedule, our fixtures till the end of the season. We have 3 top 6 games. The one that we know about is Manchester City coming up. But then we have those return fixtures between Tottenham and Manchester United. We get Manchester United back on March 9th. So those are games we need to get up for. But definitely Ozil, I believe, could start many of the other games, especially at home.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna play Cardiff on Tuesday night. Why not start Ozil then?
Yeah, why not?
Cardiff are a team who are going to come and defend with a lot of people behind the ball. So Ozil might be a good player to use in that situation.
Exactly. You might be able to unlock the defense, by creating.
So how mad were you on Friday night?
Oh, you don't want to know. You don't want to even know. After I've seen progress. I mean, the first half, the first 15 minutes, first 20 minutes, I was like, okay, we are actually playing decently enough. And then it just fell apart as soon as our defenders got injured, and by no fault any one of the Manchester United players creating those injuries, but basically self injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went 1-0 down, and then within a space of a few minutes, they were let on goal again by sloppy defending. I think Koscielny had tried to press too high onto somebody, and then when he realized it was too late, there was an overlap on the wing. And I don't know if it was Rashford or I don't remember. I think it was Lukaku, of all people,
Yeah.
to provide 2 assists.
Lukaku, he told the crowd all about it. He was like, he was doing the cupping his ears. I want to hear the crowd.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's what infuriated us as fans. I think we can all handle a loss, but to lose so badly, and to have those players just dancing around, doing the moonwalk.
oh, doing the moonwalk, and of all people, Sanchez
Sanchez
score.
and fucking Jesse Lingard too.
Fucking moonwalking in our stadium, bloody bastard.
Yeah, yeah. So we gotta make it hot for them when they come back on March 9th um, in the league. But
We
Ishmael
have to.
Ishmael made a point, which is we're using Ozil needs to fit with the club and not the club fit with Ozil. I think is what Ishmael was talking
Yeah.
about, and I think it's short term. We got to get to the summertime with him.
I fully agree with that. It's not that we have to fit in with him. He has to fit in with us.
Yeah.
With our formations and style of play that we're playing with.
We have to support the manager. We knew, as I said before, we knew not everybody would be on board with the manager.
Exactly. Not everybody would be on board, but
Yeah.
I still think it's ridiculous that people are cussing out Emery at the moment because you've said it. I've said it. We need to give this. The manager's been in his position 8 to 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened to Klopp when he first came into Liverpool. Look what happened to Pep Guardiola when he first came into Man City.
Yeah, there was some weird results, some shocks. I think we need to, if we're talking in 2020, which let's say January of 2020, we're getting toward the end of this window, and we're not competing in the top 4, then there's problems. You know, give him one more year.
Yeah, but like give him a full year, give him a trans, and like you can't be expecting things to change either if they're not going to give him any money. Do you understand? And hang him out to dry, basically.
London Old School said, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went for the kill. Once we had problems with our defenders going down, he brought on Martial, and he brought on who else did he bring on?
JC, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
JC.
Lingard.
Jesse Lingard. Okay, was he a substitute? No.
I did.
Martial and someone else, but Rashford. I'm sorry, everybody. Rashford. Yeah, and London Old School. You had said that. Thank you. But that's he went for the killer then. You know. Thanks, Ismail. I've kind of purged the whole game from my mind, even though I just watched the highlights, as bad as they were, you know. And I think we've pretty much, if this season is a learning experience for Emery, we pretty much decided that we cannot have Xhaka in the back 4. We can't have Xhaka. I'm sorry. As bad as he is, you can't play in the back 4.
You know, even if we have to do a makeshift back 4, there's no possible ways we want Xhaka there back. Xhaka, like, he's already a dead player now. You can't kill his reputation more by putting him in the back as much as he's improved.
Let's remember last year, okay? And we went out of the FA Cup at the 3rd round, a round before that we went out this year, and we were thinking that our season was coming to an end, but the players regrouped and they got themselves to a Europa League semi-final. So the same players are kind of still there. Let's have faith, maybe, that we can regroup. We'll get through Bate. Who knows what the next rounds will bring? But we have those defenders coming back.
And yes, I think fully 100% agree with you. And all the other winners, where I say our best chance is through Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, Ismail Xhaka is an average player. Ismail said Xhaka is an average player, and to get top four, we need a better than average player. But I believe we have some more problems other than Xhaka, so you may see him for another season yet, Ismail.
Yeah.
And
I think we just have to chill out basically, and
I mean,
all the other problems.
we're gonna have to move some players, 4 or 5 players in the summertime, and we're gonna have to bring in 4 or 5 players as well. But I don't see Xhaka
being one of those.
just purely because of the manager liking him. It's not my personal opinion. I try to understand what the manager's thinking, and that's why my comments about Ozil are what I'm also thinking Emery might be thinking. You know what I mean, Gundit?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean by that. Right now, there's so much else to sort out. I'm just really anxious. I need to see defenders, and we've basically got until Thursday night.
Yeah, here we are with 4 days to the transfer window, and we are looking for defenders. If I think London Old School had said that it might be a blessing in disguise that the FA Cup, we're out of the FA Cup, and now we concentrate on the league. Let's remember, only 3 points off the league, with Chelsea seeming to implode a little bit. We don't know how long Higuain is going to take to get up to speed, or if he's still... Is Higuain still the same player he used to be? Gundit?
He was. I think he did go into double figures when he was at Napoli,
Mm-hmm.
and then he moved to AC Milan and didn't have that much of a
Impact.
massive impact. Would I say it's the same player? I don't think so. I don't think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have had him at Arsenal.
He's, as both London Old School and Ismail have said, he's definitely going to improve Chelsea. Without doubt. He's better than Morata.
Oh, yes, definitely. Morata is a waste, man.
I do wonder if that Chelsea dressing room has a mind of its own sometimes, and if they feel they don't like the manager or coach, they won't play for him. So let's hope that happens.
Like even prime example, guys, of when Alexis left. I mean, before he left, he started throwing a lot of tantrums, and it affected the dressing room in those kind of terms, because now there was a divide in the dressing rooms, basically.
Yeah. So with Chelsea having possible coach problems with their players, and with Tottenham having some injuries and a player away at the Asian Cup, right, or the Korean Cup games, help me out with that one. They are going to be weaker than we are at this point, although we do have those injuries at the back. If we could just get some fit defenders, we could make a run at the top four.
Exactly. That's a real sticking point right now. The fact that there are players missing from Tottenham, big stars, and Chelsea are also having a little bit of an implosion.
Yeah.
Could we just get maybe a defender or two just to plug in that gap so we can go on a run? I hope so. I really hope so.
London Old School agrees with you, Gundit. Alexis was a troublesome player. And, he might still be back.
That's just the problem sometimes.
His son is back from the Asian Cup.
Yeah. That's just the problem sometimes. But we could put through together. I believe we could put a run through, especially having those two teams in a little bit of a turmoil. Not worse than us, but who knows?
I think we're fortunate, Gundit, in the fixtures, the next 2 fixtures we have. Even if we did have fit defenders and we were playing well, the best that we could do would be 3 points from those 6 points. From those 2 games, we'll get 3 points hopefully against Cardiff. but we were always gonna not probably perform very well against Manchester City away from home. That buys us a little time until
Yeah,
February
that's
9th for
right.
our defenders to get back. That buys us 2 weeks until the Huddersfield game.
Yeah, let's see. When is thingy returning? Vicky will. I think Vicky is the only one returning soon,
Hmm
a little bit sooner than usual on February 19th.
I mean,
Um,
most Arsenal supporters would say we'll go to the Etihad and not get any points from there.
yeah, not be expecting anything from that.
Ismail's
Not
wondering if Socrates is going to be ready for the City game. Doesn't look like it, right?
Socrates won't be ready for the City game. It's very highly unlikely. Um, that ankle injury that he did suffer is going to be taking him out for the next two. So Cardiff and Man City.
Cardiff, that Cardiff game is going to be very very important now. If we don't get 3 points from that, I think the Wolves are going to start circling around Emery.
Uh, at the same time, can you put all the blame on our coach when he's just 8 months into his job? And it's unfortunate that the injuries are happening. And if you're not going to give money, how do you expect to get off our club? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're not, for the most part, they're not his players. Um, but we are gonna. He has done pretty well with the team so far. Now, I liken it to, we started out with a full team, and now we've lost some. It looks like we used up all of our wages capacity and our transfer funds. We used all of our powder for the summertime when we bought Torreira and Guendouzi. We used it all up, and they must have known about this for months until we got to the January window. You know, I hate this saying, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know.
If they knew about it months in advance, why not then already say, right, look, here come the summer, these are the players that we have to get rid of.
Yeah.
So as soon as the window opened, we're like, okay, Peter Cech, Carl Benson, you know, put them all on the transfer.
Peter Cech, El Neni, Carl Jenkinson, you know, Koscielny needs to go.
Yeah.
Mustafi would be a high profile. He might survive. Mustafi might survive, in the matter of that there's other players that need to go before Mustafi can go. Probably, you know, you pick 3 or 4 players. Welbeck is another one who'll be sold.
Yeah.
You know, so that's 3 or 4. How can I forget about Lichtsteiner, London Old School?
Oh yeah, Lichtsteiner. We did only loan him though, luckily enough.
Lichtsteiner?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can send them back. So, you know, if any, like, I think Mustafi and Xhaka are players who may survive that cull. You know, we're gonna have to get rid of players who are worse than them. You know, worse than Xhaka and worse than a Koscielny or a Mustafi. You know.
Yeah.
And Peter Cech will be leaving as well.
Yeah, he will be retiring at the end of the season.
So, I was always of the opinion that, you know, the league and the Europa League are our priorities this year. So, I think in time we're going to get over that Manchester United defeat, as bad as it was.
And you know, these Man United supporters are going to keep giving us banter for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
I wanted to really wipe the smile off Solskjaer's face, but
and you know, this video, this live chat is not as happy as it would be if we'd had a win. But there you go. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but we'll be here every Sunday.
Exactly. We'll be around every single Sunday. or most Sundays.
Most Sundays. But I think we bought ourselves some time. If we can get a win at home to Cardiff on Tuesday night, nobody expects us to. Nobody expects us to beat Manchester City away from home.
I think we should look at it the same way we looked at, like you say, like we looked at the first game. We weren't expecting anything, and we quite nearly got away with a win.
So Ishmael is just quoted a quote from one of my favorite movies too. Is life shit because Arsenal is shit, or is Arsenal shit because life's shit? If you have a chance to go watch Fever Pitch with Colin Firth, it's a great movie. And London Old School says we are still above Manchester United, so we got to keep moving forward. We got to beat Cardiff to maintain that.
We have to.
Manchester United are not going to win every game till the end of the season. I guarantee that. I've looked at all of the fixtures, Gundit. We're going to have a tough period coming up after the City game. We play Huddersfield away from home, Southampton at home, Bournemouth at home, and then 2 tough ones with Tottenham and Manchester United. But then after that, we've got 8 games that are very winnable. We call it the run-in. And so I've looked at the schedules for all of the teams in the top 4. Ours in the short term is more difficult, while everyone else in us has a more difficult run-in. So if we can just hang in there, maybe we drop to 5th temporarily, but if we hang in there, we've got easier games. The last 8 games are all winnable, although some of them are tough, you know. We play Wolves away from home, Newcastle at home, Everton away, Watford away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester away, and we finish with Brighton at home and Burnley away from home.
Okay, that's now that you've actually given me a little bit more faith, and the Gunnit a little bit more faith. If we can hold on,
we could go unbeaten for 8 or 10 games toward the end of the season. We definitely owe Manchester United a big game when they come back to our house on March 9th.
Oh yeah.
A Tottenham at Wembley game will be tough.
Okay, like you say, a few good fixtures until we play. What did you say? I think you said there's two tough games. It's going to be the Man United one and Tottenham.
Yeah.
And right now it's going to be versus Man City, the champions.
Those are the 3 tough ones that are like really, really going to be tough. We got to go to the Etihad. Nobody really expects anything there. Anything we get there will be a bonus. And then beginning of March we go away. We go to Wembley to play Tottenham. And then we get Manchester United back home, where that's going to have to be a statement game for this team.
Big statement, like huge statement, like the statement of the season type.
Now let's believe, if we're believing that we're having a similar season to last year, and we're believing that there's not, we're playing to a similar standard. I believe we're playing a little bit above that because we did beat Chelsea at home, and we beat Tottenham at home. We drew to Liverpool. But let's believe all of that. Last year, the team rallied to come through the Europa League to the semi-final stage, and we all know we should have gone to the final.
Really, honestly, first leg should have given hiding.
Hell of a hiding we should have given Atletico.
Hiding.
So many chances missed.
It's like one of those games where you just can't. They say you can't finish your dinner. You don't finish your chances, and yeah, man, it just doesn't work out. You should be 4-5 by half time.
So I believe that we're going to have these dips in the league. Let's not get too downhearted. I believe in the character of the team still. If we get our defenders back fit, I believe we can make a run at the Europa League. We get a little bit of luck with our draws here and there, which we didn't get in. We didn't get that look in the FA Cup. Let's be real about it. Although I was quite confident playing at home, but we can rally to get to the Europa League.
Oh, we can. Look, we were only going to get one of three people inside this round of the FA Cup. It was either going to be United. It was going to be our most fiercest rivals, those guys, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there was one other team, if I'm not mistaken, if it was Chelsea or somebody else. But these are so it all depends on the luck of the draw. Same thing happened to us in the Europa League, and it's only unfortunate that teams still drop out from the Champions League or given a second chance.
Yeah, and London Old School has rightly said that Emery has a good record in the Europa League, but we need to have some fit players for him to extend that record. And I'm hoping. And what's good about this year, Gundit, is that we get some FA Cup games in between, so there's going to be some rest periods where we can get players fit. We're all think
Oh,
I'm.
yeah, now especially that we were knocked out, it gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to
Rest, recover, get fit. You know, train. What I'm really wondering is what the hell is Steve Bold doing? Is he a yes man or what? You know?
He's been a yes man for a long time, Raymond, and all my other gooners tuning into Arsenal fan circle. He has been a yes man for a long time.
Steve
and
Bold.
It's just now that I don't know. It's just if you do watch videos from last season, my videos, Arsenal fan TV's videos, you'll see that all the problems that we're having right now have happened last year and are just coming now back to bite us in the ass, basically.
The chickens are coming home to roost.
Exactly.
Yeah. My problem, London Old School, with Bold is he used to be a yes man under Wenger. I thought he would have some more leeway to school our defenders. I believe if he was allowed to be, or maybe he's just not that character. He's not that overwhelming character that he can say, listen, boss, I'm going to take the defenders and drill them, really, really drill them to the defensive ways. Because Steve Bold was a hell of a defender back in the day. Hell of a defender.
Yep. Hell of a defender.
I can't believe that he wouldn't be able to tell these players something to do. You know.
You know what? A lot of the past regime and people that are still at our club are yes men, basically like Steve Bold. I'm very disappointed that he wasn't able to get the likes of or at least like show our defenders ways on how to play that while being tactical. Also, they don't get injured. They get injured less. They're less injury prone,
Yeah. London Old School would like to have Tony Adams back. Completely agree with that. There's a lot of players that have come back, previous players that probably weren't allowed to come back under Arsene Wenger, but have been able to come back. Freddie Lundberg is back, Robert Perez, and I think it's something that should be allowed to grow. Previous players come back that have a love for the team.
For the club. Yeah.
Oh,
as much as it pains us to say, as much as we hate Man United, I mean, it looks like Solskjaer actually, he's always loved Manchester United. He's always loved his club. When he played for them, when he didn't play for them, and now that he's managing, it's like he's showing the players love, and the players are showing him that same love and effort back when you see them play. It's like the resurgent, basically.
London Old School said that he personally met Tony Adams, so that must have been really great moment.
Oh, you're Mr. Arsenal himself, Tony Adams.
Yeah, and he said that he would not be a yes man. Tony Adams is his own person. I love that about him.
Yeah.
When I was there last year for the last Arsene Wenger game, I've only been to 2 games. The one versus Burnley, I was lucky enough to be in the section of the ground, and I did meet Martin Keown for a photograph myself.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Martin Keown would be another player I would advocate to do some work, but as we all know with poor Thierry Henry, it is sometimes better to be a pundit than to be a coach. And I do hope that Thierry Henry does get another opportunity with a
Yeah,
club somewhere to prove
to show his
himself,
qualities.
show his
You
qualities.
know,
We've got some
um,
future managers out there in Patrick Vieira and Thierry Henry and even Mikel Arteta who could be the future.
are you playing with me when you say Mikel Arteta? That's not funny, man. That's not a
I'm
funny joke, right?
I'm serious. I'm serious. And maybe it would have been too early for him this past summer, but I think he could be
Yeah,
a
but
good
after the
manager.
years.
What do you think, Gundit?
Do you know what I actually heard is apparently rumors going around saying now that Spain is leaving us, I think it's on the 8th of February, if I'm not
That's
mistaken,
another
or the
player.
1st.
Yeah.
We're looking at getting a new financial director or another scouting director, that being Mark Overmars, one of our legends.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That would be amazing. I mean, that's. I actually was thinking about Mark Overmars when I mentioned all those players, and it sort of went out of my mind right away.
Yeah,
But
no, I was just now going to say to you, that's one of the other things that we're looking at since we are losing Mr. Tat very, very soon.
yeah, I would love Overmars to come. I believe he obviously knows what it's like to be involved in a winning setup. He's won with Arsenal. He won titles with Arsenal, and I think he has an understanding of what the club is all about, tradition wise and all that, which I think is very important. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, can you believe that an hour has already gone by so fast?
I can't believe that. I can't believe you at all when
I
you
mean,
say such things.
we've hit some low spots in this episode. Um, Not easy to talk about a defeat, but I think we're more focusing on the future, the next few games, in regards to what's happening with Arsenal right now.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit anxious right now. Anxious is actually an understatement. But because the main thing is that within the next few days, we need defenders.
Hmm.
We need defenders.
Since
And it's not going,
yeah, go ahead.
and it's not going to. That's not going to happen if they're not going to give you money. The main thing is money.
Yeah, yeah. Since we are not going to be talking about the FA Cup in an Arsenal point of view moving forward, London Old School, text me and Gunda tell me what your feelings are about the FA Cup, what good memories you had over the years, and what the FA Cup means to you as an Arsenal supporter.
Okay, Raymond. You can inform all of us. Basically, everybody's watching this live and not live. After the stream, what are your feelings? How do you feel about the FA Cup? And what fun memory do you have of it, though?
Yeah. So I started supporting Arsenal in 1986, and the earliest opportunity, we've had some shock defeats. Like I think we lost to Wigan one year in the early 90s, but we did get to a semi-final against those people down the lane, the Spurs, and we were beaten 3-1 in the end. I was absolute devastation for me, absolute devastation. A terrible, terrible feeling, but I did get to enjoy the FA Cup in 1993 when we got revenge on Tottenham. We beat them 1-0 with a Tony Adams header, and we won the FA Cup, and we went on to win the League Cup at the time against Sheffield Wednesday. Then moving on, we had obviously defeats against Liverpool. That was very, very crushing against Michael Owen when he scored in the last minute. But we also had great wins against Chelsea in the cup final. So I think for me as an Arsenal fan, I've always loved the final day where the coverage on BBC back there was all day long, and it was really fun. And as a kid, then you're going out and playing football in the street and trying to recreate those moments. So we've had more good days than bad when it comes to the FA Cup. We've beaten Manchester United, we've beaten Chelsea twice, in the FA Cup in my time. So we've won more than we lost. We did lose to that Liverpool in the late 90s. So, but as Ismail said, it's such a memorable competition for Arsenal because we are the record holders. We need Manchester United to be beaten this year in the cup.
Yeah,
So we
the one behind us currently.
so we maintain our FA Cup record of I think having the most FA Cup wins out of any team. Gundit, what's your history with the FA Cup?
Okay, my history with the FA Cup, basically, I've been supporting Arsenal since, I would say about 15 to, 10 to 15 years ago.
And you're
I
younger
started
than me.
supporting Arsenal. And I pretty much only watched the Premier League. I had no idea about, there were actually other cups. There was like Champions League up until recently, Europa League, the FA Cup, and all these other cup competitions, basically. And my fondest memories is probably beating, I think we beat Man City one of the years gone by. Or if it was, I think it was Chelsea or Man City. And that
No problem, Ismail. Go.
That to me was a very beautiful thing, though. Like when I recently figured that there were actually other cup competitions aside from the league. And
who do we have in the circle now? Go ahead, Gundit.
Ramsey home and getting us 2 wins, 2 vital goals to take 2 FA Cups home. I mean, that's just that to me was just a beautiful thing that happened,
And just touching on Ramsey, people are disappointed that he's leaving, that the club could not keep him. Ramsey's tied into Ozil in terms of Ozil's contract being so large that we could not pay Ramsey. But I really believe that Ramsey's talked about in his career playing abroad for a part of his career. So I feel like he was always going to leave at this point in his career.
Yeah, I mean, it ties into the destiny thing where it's not even destiny, it's fate, because you say that in the beginning of your career already, after 5-6 years to say, at some point who wouldn't love to go play overseas, experience a whole different league?
Yeah. So for what he did in the FA Cup, thank you, Aaron Ramsey. Thank you. He's been really instrumental in winning at least two of the FA Cups. London Old School said he was 12 years old when he was at the 1979 Cup final versus West Ham, I believe. No, versus Manchester United, the 5-minute Cup final. And that must have been, as a 12-year-old, that's probably a great memory. One of the first things.
Most definitely.
Luca,
you actually get to experience that live.
So we got Luca on, and Luca Quarta, who wanted to speak his mind today. We welcome everybody to speak their mind in the circle. Come on in, Luca. And he was upset about the Manchester United result. But, we've had our fond memories with the FA Cup over the years as Arsenal fans. But it's not meant to be this year, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
We have to savor every time we go deep into a cup competition like the FA Cup, which is historic. We have to remember it's not a given that we're going to be there every year, and we have to enjoy it. Enjoy every game.
Yeah, it means the FA Cup does mean a lot to us. It has been for a long time. And we do, like you say, we get very far into the competition and we have to savor these moments. At the same time, I think a lot of the time, sometimes there is a overreaction to us taking a win or a loss, but specifically a win, which I don't think is getting, it's too bad. It's celebrating a time of happiness, basically,
Yeah. Welcome in. Is it Luca or someone else is back into the circle? We've got Luca. When United scored in the first 10 minutes from December 2017, the game was buried in the first 10 minutes that time. and he's basically saying that we talked about that earlier, Luca. This this Manchester United FA Cup result mirrored what they did to us in the league last year. You know, that's okay, Luca. I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak your mind, as you had said that you wanted to do. So, um, one of these days, I will have you guesting on as well with Gundit. Um, if anyone else um, wants to have their audio on Arsenal Fan Circle, we'll certainly set that up in the future. But to recap, Luca, what we're talking about, terrible result. We hate it to lose against Manchester United, but it is our third choice competition. We're playing for the league. We're playing for the Europa League. We have injuries to contend with now. We have how many days? 4 days, Gundit, to go and get somebody. Yeah, we will do that in the future, Luca. We've got 4 days to get somebody, anybody. And we talked about that, Luca. That's okay if we're recapping a little bit. But we talked about maybe the fixtures are kind to us. We're playing Cardiff, who we should win at home, and then we're playing Manchester City away from home. So maybe the fixtures are kind to us. We can get some of those injured players on the treatment table, get them back. We're not really going to get on now the Manchester City game. Most people will accept that. And then we go for Huddersfield, and we have a couple of difficult fixtures ahead in March. We play Spurs, and we play Tottenham. We got to give them. We play Spurs and we play Manchester United. We got to give them a good game in the return fixture. But as we touched on already, we have the final 8 to 10 games are very, very winnable. So we will have an easier run in than most of the other top 4 teams.
We pray and hope for an easy run in at the end of the season.
Luca thinks we will not beat United in the return fixture. If we don't beat United in the return fixture, we will not get top 4.
I would hate for us, Luca, I would hate for us, and London Old School, everybody tune in. I would hate for us, for United to get into the top 4 and leapfrog us, and we end up playing Europa again next season.
I can tell you now, Manchester United are looking at top 3 right now for their season. If I was a Manchester United player, I'd be saying we can get above Chelsea, we can get above Spurs. So I think it might be Spurs, Chelsea, and ourselves fighting for the 4th spot.
Sure. That is actually very possible. Like we have discussed before, we have said the race for top 4 is going to be extremely tight.
Ismail does not think we can reach the top 4 with our present back 4. And London Old School says we do need to step up for that home game against Manchester United. I'm going to call that out as London Old School. I'm going to call that out as the game in the next month that is a must-win for us. We must win.
Yeah,
we must beat Manchester United at home.
Oh, the disrespect also, what made us... I'm sure you guys will all agree with me when I say how angry we were seeing this little asshole, mind my language, but moonwalking at our home. Moonwalking.
Yeah, I feel like if the players have respect for themselves, respect for the club, which I believe they do, that they'll remember that result on Friday night for when we when they revisit us in March.
And then the fire comes back out, the fire and the passion to say,
yeah,
look, these idiots, they came to our home and disrespected us.
We owe them a game in March.
We owe them, really.
We owe them a game. But our last 8 games, Ishmael, London Old School, and maybe Luca. Our last 8 games are very winnable. Wolves away from home, Newcastle at home, Everton away, Watford away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester City away from home, and then we finish with Brighton at home and Burnley away. There's a lot of teams in there we owe something back to them. I mean, that Brighton result, we need to return a favour there. Wolves are going to be difficult.
Yep.
They played us at home very well. Wolves are going to be difficult,
Mm.
and you know, Leicester away from home will be tricky as well. Also Watford, you're right, Ismail. There's nothing easy in the Premier League, but our last 8 games are not versus the top 6 teams, so we should be able to be at least competitive, you know. So, as London Old School said, onwards and upwards. What do you think, Gundit?
Yeah, onwards and upwards. I think we just hold faith and just, keep calm, keep gooning, like we always do. And, just believe in Emery. Just believe that somehow he will make miracles happen. They expect a lot of him.
Who came on just now?
They just need to back him. They need to back him.
So, okay, it's going to hurt for a little bit when nobody likes Manchester United coming into our house and beating us like that. Nobody likes a former player in Sanchez coming back and getting. They look like easy goals to me. They look like it walked right through us. Terrible defending. We got to improve the defending. Steve Bold, get out on the training pitch and do something with those defenders. First thing we do is we beat Cardiff on Tuesday night. Next weekend we might be talking more about the Cardiff game than the Manchester City game next Sunday. You know?
Look, I hope somehow, I don't know how we are going to get a result versus City, but I would love to even just get 1 point from that game.
If we go get a draw at City, I'll call that a bonus. I don't think we're getting anything out of that game. We play Huddersfield away from home. That's going to be a tough game. Our home form has seemed to dip since November. We need to get not our home form. Away from home has dipped. We've been pretty good at home. So
our away form has been a little bit indifferent.
Yeah. And then we play our home games. We play Southampton and Bournemouth at home, Manchester United at home, and Newcastle, Crystal Palace, and Brighton. Those are winnable games.
Yeah.
Everything except the United game, which is going to be hell of a game. We need to pick up our away form. As London Old School said, let's look onwards and upwards. We lost 3 in all competitions at home, but we're just looking at the league right now, Luca. We did lose to Tottenham.
London Old School, everybody that's tuned in, it just came across me now that, what did I want to say? I wanted to say that...
I'm scared about that too, Luca.
I wonder if it's possible for us to somehow have to incorporate any youngsters into our team now that we are short of players. What do you guys think?
My personal feeling on Emery is that he is a little bit afraid to throw some youngsters in there, although he's throwing Guendouzi in there. That's a player that he probably believes in. I would personally like to see 1 or 2 young players coming in. I've seen in previous Arsenal teams that have struggled, you put some young players in there and they can help carry a team through. But personally, I don't think Emery's going to do too much with that. I think he's under so much pressure to get the top 4. Exactly. That's my personal opinion. I've talked to London Old School. We would love to see some younger players mixed in there as well, you know. But I don't know what's going to happen. And that's the beauty of being an Arsenal supporter. We asked for change. We got change from Wenger. We have a manager now. I agree. Play Ainsley in midfield, London Old School said. And Saka looked brilliant against Spurs under 23. So Ainsley in midfield and Saka on the left wing. Saka! It just sounds so good, doesn't it? Right? Don't you want to see Saka scoring if you go, Saka attack, you know? I want to see that for the end of the season. I want to see a few goals. I think we should use a player like that because We're missing Welbeck. We don't have that extra legs to come on up front. And Zaka can play from the left wing. I think Iwobi played well though, right? On Friday night.
Yeah.
And
I
we
mean, he will be if he would be a player if he just stayed consistent, you know.
I got one final question, Mahir, who's from Gundit News, joining me today, my co-host on Gundit News. Why did we divert away from the diamond formation?
I have no answer for you there. I'm completely worthless.
I feel like when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, diamond, great. Let's do it again like we did against Chelsea. Didn't happen.
Yeah, why? Look, I was going to say to everybody tuning in, exactly why do we divert from something that's working? It's so like our team. They call it the Arsenal. When we can pick up one or two great results against a big team and then go out and lose to West Ham or Crystal Palace or Brighton.
Lucas said it's because we're inconsistent. Are we inconsistent because we are not picking a consistent team because Emery is trying to figure out all of his players?
I can tell you sometimes now, right? I'm sure maybe you guys will agree with me, but I feel sometimes the chopping and changing is too much. Like he experiments way too much.
Yeah.
Nations and players, and rather than say for instance, like we beat Chelsea, that's a massive result, right?
Yeah.
We played a diamond. Why not? If we kept the clean sheet, why not do it again? That's Man United.
I mean, that's what you could say about Wenger is that he never really worried about the opposition. He always put out his best team and let them play. I think Emery thinks a little bit too much about the opposition.
You think? I think he overthinks.
Overthinks it a bit. Yeah.
Complicates things basically.
But I will say one thing, Gundit. He has not lost a head a little bit like Sarri has. He's got a lot of things that he's had to deal with. I feel like Emery has dealt with him pretty well.
I love that he's remained calm though. Like unlike I think Sarri threw his players under the bus.
Threw him under the bus for sure. He did. Yeah. Well, Chelsea has that kind of atmosphere or the way identity, exactly the way they operate. They have that identity of the manager will throw them under the bus, and then the players will eventually throw the manager under the bus, and then they'll have a new manager. And two years from now, they'll have a new manager. We like to go. We like to go a little bit more to stability, right? And be a stable club. So I can't understand. I think it's all of the Ozil supporters who are saying Emery out, and I think eventually they're going to have to swallow a bitter pill in the summertime when we are able to ship Ozil out somewhere for a reduced transfer fee.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to swallow a very bitter pill at that time, and we're going to have to learn to cope without Mesut Ozil being in our squad. Okay.
I want to thank Gundit News for coming on today. Gundit News is Mario Abrams from South Africa. Check out his stuff on Facebook. You want to plug yourself a little bit, Gundit?
Okay. Yeah, guys. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in with the session with Raymond Walker, my good friend, fellow Gooner on Arsenal Fan Circle, and yours truly, Gundit News. Like if you want, guys, comment, like, and subscribe here on our YouTube page and on Gundit News on Facebook.
Check out Gundit News on Facebook. Gundit has definitely been supporting me. I've got to figure out a way to try to support him a bit more on his channel as well. So I appreciate.
Hopefully we'll be able to bring a few, like I say, live hosts onto my channel as well as here, guys, with your comments, videos, if you tune in live, if you're watching this after the stream, we really appreciate all the support and love. And yeah, guys, keep calm and keep gooning.
Hey, Luke, I will get in touch with you soon. We can go live again today if you want to do that, Luca. I've got a little bit of time later in the day. But London Old School, you've been with us from the start. Do appreciate your continued support. Um, we had Ishmael come on as well, and we had Luca, and I appreciate everybody coming on. Appreciate Gundit. Appreciate your time also.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Even in the feed, we can have a little bit of fun on a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Um,
You're
I
welcome. Any suggestions?
I cannot promise that next week's episode will be any better. I feel like we're going to get a little bit of a tanking from Manchester City next weekend, but that's why they play the games. We'll see what happens, right?
Exactly. We're not expecting anything coming from that game.
No.
To be a bonus to get anything from it.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Players can play well, despite having us missing a lot of our star players.
and there might have been a little bit of confusion with some of people who might have come on. We are going on Sunday Eastern time. If you're in London or the UK, that's 5 p.m. If you're in South Africa, I think it is 7 p.m. Am I right, Gundit?
Yes.
And
Yes. 7 o'clock.
London Old School has never missed a show, so I'm going to say that he knows when we go on.
Love it. London also.
And
Love it.
big up to London Old School, who is watching English Premier League games in the middle of the night from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Wow, that's passion for you, right?
That is passion.
That's definitely passion for you.
I really thought this would be a shorter show, but I guess we can talk a lot when we get going, even after a bad result. So, Gundit News, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome, my brother.
Hopefully, by the next time we talk, we will have a player or two in the doors of the club. And let's hope.
I would love it. I would love it. I'm actually going to go live as soon as we do get any news of any incomings.
I'll check out Koh Samui in Thailand. I bet and I know it was cold earlier this week here, and London Old School was able to tell me he was in 32 degrees Celsius weather. So
yeah,
very good.
Same here in South Africa, about 30, 32, 34, 35.
Great.
So like extremely hot.
This has been Arsenal Fan Circle. We will talk to everybody next Sunday. Until then, let's hope for 3 points against Cardiff, and let's hope for at least a good performance against Manchester City.
Oh, at least, very least.
And
No?
one or two players in the door. Maybe somebody called Suarez. Who knows?
Suarez, a lot of people have been thinking to Suarez, Galson Martins, Carrasco.
We're gonna do a Wenger era trolley dash, last minute shopping in the transfer
I
window.
would love that. I'm sure we would love that. Like 4 players just coming in one time. Like, hi everybody, welcome to Arsenal.
Until next week, much